I'm Brian Hendricks, and we've got our pickled bobcat here. This here is the other front foot. This here would be the left front foot. This is the one that was caught by with the trap that I talked about earlier, the laminated jaws and stuff. I don't really see any damage on the top of that foot at all. The only damage on this foot right now that I see is that hole right there that I cut in it when I was skinning it. So, and that's not a big deal. We'll fix that easy enough. It's on the bottom of the foot next to the pad, so not a hard fix there. So anyway, here's the toes sticking out where we skin down past the joints where we cut them off. Hang those up and start skinning on that. This foot's a little bit discolored compared to the other ones, and that was because of the blood and just the bruising and stuff from being in the trap. There's a little bit of webbing still attached here. I'm gonna separate some of that a little bit. I should have done that before I hung it up. It would have been a little bit easier probably. I just don't want to pull real hard because of that little cut that I put in it there. So we'll get it going here. There we go. And I'm tugging on that a little bit as I'm skinning it. You have to, so just to keep things moving. So now that was that pickle solution, the salt, you know, in the pickle solution, it draws all that blood and that bruising and all that stuff. It draws all that right out of the skin. So it may remain a little bit discolored, but it's still going to tan okay. You're not going to have any problems with that. So you can do these. I have found no difference in what order you do these. So you do the middle ones first, the outside ones, it doesn't matter. Now, when this was caught, it was very hot out, and I talked about that before. And I kept, I mentioned that I had 3 5-gallon buckets going with solution in, with pickle solution in them. And the first day when I would skin the animal out, just rough skin it, you know, I was leaving, just like I showed you in this process, other than the thawing process, I was, you know, just skinning it, leaving the toes, like what you saw before I start here today. Leave the toes in. I wasn't turning the ears or anything. I was just getting the body and the head out of that thing and getting it into the pickle. I was fleshing off the heavy stuff. So right after that fleshing on the beam, I would get them right into the pickle, and I would stir them, you know, several times that first day. The evening, I guess it would be mostly. Next morning, I would stir them again and check the pH and make my adjustments. Usually they needed just a little bit of acid the next morning, and off I would go. And then I'd get home with fresh ones. Well, the ones I did the first day would go into the next bucket, and so on. I would just keep rotating until they went through 3 days worth of buckets. So, and at the end of that, they were completely pickled. And then I would take out of the third bucket there, I would take my skin out and not drain it completely, just pull it out of the bucket and leave a fair amount of solution, you know, dripping from it. Put it into a container or a Ziploc bag, and I was putting them in the freezer then. So that way, you know, that way I could just keep a rotation going, didn't have to have a whole bunch of buckets. So I did like 100 skins just through 1 quart of acid through those same 3 buckets. Never dumped them. Just I would have to add water from time to time and keep adding salt and acid and keeping my levels where they needed to be, and just kept going. So very, very economic way to take care of your skins. So let's see where we're at here. One more to go here. Pretty twisted up there. Okay. I get quiet when I have to concentrate a little bit. There we go. Last one is off. So I have to do the pads on that one. Bring it over to the post here. There's our dew claw that we did the first day when we skinned it right off the foot. That's down just to the claws, all that's left in there. Now we still have to do our pads. That's a little hole I cut in it the other day, and like I said, that's right next to the pads, so some holes, that hole I'll pull it together and put a patch over it right before I mount it. Little holes in these pads, if it's just a standing mount or the foot's down on the base, you don't have to patch them. Do what you can, but usually what I do is just put a little bit of epoxy in it after it's all dry when you're doing your finish work. If it's going to be up in the air where it's going to show, like swatting at a bird, or say it's just laying on a log or something and that pad's out there where you can see it, then you're going to want to put a little more time into it. Epoxy that seam after it's, when you do your finish work. Put some epoxy over that seam and take a piece of sandpaper while your epoxy is still wet, like 80 grit paper, and just press it. Wet the sandpaper and press it onto that soft epoxy, and it'll give you a nice texture. So easy way to fix that. Fix a little hole or to fix your seam, either one when it's going to show. Just a quick little way of doing it. It's a little bit harder sometimes to see what you're doing when you have a bruised or bloody spot that's dark like this, but just take your time and work through it. It's the same process, so maybe do it last so you have a little bit of practice before you jump into it. That one still needs a little bit more thinning. I'm not happy with that. For some reason it's a little tougher than the other ones were because of the damage that was done. Okay, I've got it out past the edge. See, that's all past the edge of the pad there now. That just needs to be trimmed off is all. You can do it with a knife or you can do it with your scissors. So there's our last foot. Trimmed out. And you can see the difference in the color between the other front foot and that one. But like I say, it's not a problem. That's still pickled nice. It's all pickled all the way through. There's no damage on the first side. Nothing to repair there. So we'll be in good shape.